Sorry about that. There we go. That's a rough start to a webinar. Jim, hopefully that didn't break your ears. Hello, everybody. This is Karl. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes here. I wanted to just get set up and be here to chat with anybody that's there. So if you're there and would like to say hi, then I'd love to say hi back. Hello, Karen North. How are you? Everything going great up there in the Buckeye State? That's awesome. It's going and going and going. This week's never going to end. I'm never going to get my weekend. Well, I've got it queued up. We're going to play it here in just a minute. I'm waiting for Mike to hop on. Let me make sure he's here. Mike, I'm re-inviting you. Come on up, buddy. Join the fun. We're having a little bit of tech issues here. I know Mike's a sharp guy, and he will be joining us here momentarily. Hello, Lita. Hello, Jim. Hello, Kara. Excited to get started here. We'll get started in just a minute. Kara, we actually did not do the Fresh Find song last month. And I was like, it just doesn't feel right. We're going to have to embarrass myself for 1 minute every month. the dumb things that pop in my head. Yes, you knew in advance. You got the email. It was like, that corny rap by that middle-aged dad. Going to pass this time. So if you're here, if this is your first show, welcome. If you're coming back, you know that I'll be sharing a little bit. Mike will be sharing a little bit. And then you guys get to kind of take control of what topics we talk about. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for Mike to join us, if you want to click at the very bottom of your screen where it says Ask a Question down there below, I've got a dozen of my favorite links from Mike's newsletter that you guys can kind of vote for the topics that you like. And we'll go ahead and get started. I just saw him join the room and leave the room, and he's probably somewhere muttering curse words under his breath. So you know what? I'm just going to go ahead because I appreciate those of you who were able to make it and are here to join us. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So in today's session, what we are going to do is I'm going to share a little bit about some of my favorite tips for working smart, not hard. And then Mike's going to share a little bit about what he's presenting at DevLearn. That's coming up next week. Very excited to get kind of a sneak peek at what he's doing. And then we're going to turn it over to your questions. So with that, let's get started. Fresh Finds is the show for you if you're a learning geek. Talk to Mike about the email he sends every week. Karl blends up tech and food in a new recipe. Join the show and vote for topics that you want to see. We are learning nerds and proud of it. Fresh Finds is cool. This is fun, it's not a lecture, that's our only rule. So sign up and check out topics, pick the ones you like. And come back to the show and talk about them with Karl and Mike. Okay, that is always my favorite part of the show. I have 4-year-old twins, and they make me sing this song to them almost every night before bed. And so I've learned it well. A little bit of embarrassing will go a long way. Welcome back, Mike. I'm going to re-invite you up here, and hopefully that will get it all worked out. I've got a few of you. Hey, everybody, look who made it.
What's up?
Hi, Mike.
Hey.
I knew we could do it.
Well, I'm on mobile. I'm still working on my desktop to be able to share some stuff. So if you see me looking a little sketchy, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. So you look a little sketchy already. Is that part of the plan?
I think that probably never changes.
Hardy, har. Yeah.
Truth.
Yeah. So I told the folks you're going to share a little bit about your DevLearn presentation, and while you're working on your technical issues there, I'm going to share a presentation that I put together. It's been one of those. I'm really excited to share this with you. I've had this kind of information about tips and cognitive load rattling around in my brain for at least months, probably longer. And I threw some slides together, and I wanted to go ahead and share that with you all. So I'm going to go ahead now and spend a few minutes just talking through what I call work smart, not hard. Who's a big fan? I'm watching the chat, so if you see me turning my head over that way, it's because I'm looking for your chat. I'm going to actually ask you all to participate and share some of your tips. Really, this is like at the core of what we do as instructional designers, that we are trying to manage cognitive efficiency. As an instructional designer, you know, the sort of lens that we see the world is like people's brains can only process so much. They process some of it, what they hear, and some of it, what they see. And that really has an impact on us. We're thinking about, you know, as people are processing the information in our tutorials, they're able to hold that temporarily in working memory. It's finite. It's limited. We just don't have enough working memory. The non-instructional designer you can tell a course that was made by somebody who was a non-instructional designer because it's just packed with information after information, just layer after layer. And it keeps going, and it keeps going, and you don't really get a break. You don't get those chunks. That people get overwhelmed. They don't get opportunities to practice. It's simply like, hey, here's everything you'd want to know. Here's an information dump. And that's something that we see a lot in training, and that really is our value as far as what we bring to the training. But there's more than that. We do more than just manage cognitive load. We do more than come up with exercises to introduce things into short-term memory and then integrate it with what you already know in the long-term memory. Those of us who are good at our jobs also remember about learner motivation. If you've heard me talk, you've probably heard me say how much I love Julie Dirkson's book, Design for How People Learn. And in that one, she talks about, it was actually from a book called The Happiness Hypothesis. And it introduced what is my favorite motivational model that's on the elephant and the rider. So the rider is the person that's in charge. This rider is particularly well-dressed, but all of us have that sort of voice in our head that says, hey, I know you don't want to go to the gym, but go to the gym. You'll feel better. You'll be glad you did. Hey, I know you'd like to leave work at 4:15 today, but you got to buckle down, get a few things done, and then your day is going to go better tomorrow, and leave at 5. Or if you're at the kind of place that makes you work till 6. Then what's the elephant? The elephant's everything else. He's the playful side. She's the part that loves stories. It's like everything else that are sort of instincts, what make us as people. So the elephants are curious. Elephants are interested in things, and all too easy to just sort of forget when I'm an instructional designer, my only goal is not accuracy. I want my content to be accurate. I want my content to be complete, but I also want my learners to be motivated enough that they're actually paying attention to it. So as you're making courses, I always talk about, make sure you're addressing the elephant in the room. Sometimes people go through training and it doesn't stick. It doesn't do anything to them because the learners have run out of motivation and they're not paying attention to it. The rider is simply overmatched. And what I like about this is that this image of the rider and the elephant, it's ridiculous how much bigger the elephant is than the rider. And that's kind of true, like the little voice inside your head that's like, whew, 55-minute module, but it's all slides and I have to click next to get through it. That elephant is eventually going to win out unless you have an incredible rider that's driving your brain, that's making it stay on track and stay focused. And it's hard to pay attention. So as instructional designers, we talk about working memory, and it's finite. I really think that motivation is also finite. I happen to bring along a prop today. Look at this, learner motivation. I'm going to add this to my little shelf of things here behind me on the wall someday. But really, I brought this, one, because I have a gas can and I have a great sense of humor, but two, because motivation is a real thing. It's not just clip art. It's not just a concept. Your brain actually only has so much energy. And if you waste that energy on things that you don't need to waste it on, you're not going to get as far. So your learners are going to run out of gas. They're not going to be able to complete your module. They're not going to be able to help you hit the instructional goals that you have for them. You like that? Thank you, Kara. So what I want to do today is to talk about working smart, not hard. I'm talking about not flooring it, not stepping on the pedal all the time. I'm talking about things that we can do in our lives and in our instructional designers. You need a shirt that says work smart, not hard. I like that. So let me share a few of my favorite tips. And this is one of my favorite tips. This was kind of the spark, this and another thing called Bookify. These were kind of like what sparked me to say, hey, you know what I'm going to share this month in Fresh Finds? I'm going to share this little tip that I do all the time. Yes, I have sweatshirts with blenders. Okay, so how many of you have been to something? I'm sharing my screen here, and I've got, actually, let me go ahead and open up something real fast here. Okay. So if you go in and say, I've got a little thing here called presentations, and you've got your Explorer window, you can actually click on here. So if I were to go back to the folder that I meant to have pulled up here for Fresh Finds, and then I've got something called Work Smart, Not Hard. So this is probably something that you do as well. You organize all your things in little folders. And then when you go over to a thing like Articulate Storyline, when you go over to something like Articulate Storyline. Let me try it again. Sorry, everybody. That's frustrating. Oh, shoot. What I was hoping to show you is, so you go through, you create a new document, and then you have to go through and you have to save it. And what I'm saying, a great efficiency tip that I use is to not go in here and to not navigate through the folders and find all the different ones that we want, you know, go through. You probably, if you design and you work with things, you probably spend a fair amount of time going through and double click this, double click this, double click this. What I'm saying that you can do is you can actually go into this window and you can click it and copy that. And then when you come in here to browse, this example isn't going to work like I wanted, but you can actually paste that. So when you're opening documents, when you're saving documents, when you're looking at uploading documents, any of those kind of open-y, savey type things, you probably have a folder or an Explorer window that you keep open that has all the files for the project you're working on. Copy that, Control-C, and then Control-V to paste. So that is my first tip. Is that something? Go ahead and leave a comment if you do that in your if you do that. Yes, pinning files to the taskbar is a wonderful thing. And if you saw my thing here, I actually move my things around every day that I add in. When I'm working on a project, I actually put it here in the quick access, and then when I'm done, I just unpin it. So that's something I do quite a bit based on what I'm working on. I probably change the quick access bar of my Explorer window multiple times a day. Yeah, so anyway, that's one of my favorite tips. It's just one of those things that it doesn't, honestly, it saves you a little bit of time, but even more than that, it actually just saves that mental energy. It's like, instead of flooring it, instead of burning through your gas can, going through and then pick this folder, pick this folder, pick this folder, it's not exhausting. It's just one of those little fine-tuning things that I use to work smart, not hard. Okay. Next one, this is one that you probably know about. There are like there's like function commands that you can do to get your window, to get your, you plug in your laptop at a meeting, you've got to get it up on the screen. Hit Windows and P and just keep toggling back and forth through that. Mike, I'm glad you like the shortcut game. You get to play here in a minute, and I know you're going to be great at it. So yeah, Windows P, we can go ahead and just scroll through. This is one that I do all the time, either duplicate like I have it set up now, or to extend your monitors to go ahead and project. It's just easier than fumbling around. It's just a simple Windows P. And the next one. This has been one of my favorite new things that I've learned about. It's called Bookify, and if you see, I've just added this in my email signature. I do a lot of work with folks where it's like, hey, we want to get together, we want to talk to you about coaching, we want to talk about some custom development thing. I say, great. Instead of sending the email that's like, how's your Wednesday? I'm open at 10 and 2 and 3:30. Instead of doing that, I have a link that's in the section of my signature, so it's on every email. People can always find it, and you click book appointment. And let me show you what it looks like. So this is my Bookify site. I've set one up for my business. It's there. People can come through. I have a brief description of my little services. And then people can go in and book an appointment. I'll show you in a minute how you can actually control the different options that you have here. So I have a free consultation for anyone who's interested in new work. Yes, Dougie Fresh. I hope somebody catch that. Working meeting, coaching session. So you can go through and say, okay, I'm looking for a 30-minute window, and we can go through. Now this syncs with the Gmail and Outlook and all the major calendar type things. I've actually got it set up so that I have an Outlook account for one of my clients, and I have a Gmail account that I use personally, and it syncs with both of those calendars. So as it comes through, it can say, okay, you want to meet Friday? Well, cool, I've got openings at 1:30, 2, 2:30, and 3. You go in, you put your name, cell phone number, appointment notes, and you can go through and actually book your appointment. This is a great kind of thing. There's a free version that does quite a bit, the pro version. I'll go ahead and actually show you what it kind of looks like on the back end here, but we are a free-flowing screen showing webinar here. So I've set in the days and times that I work, that I want appointments. I like to use the mornings to get my head straight and make sure that I know these different things. And then my weekday hours, I just list that. You can set up different appointment types for what you want. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and actually make it so that people have to pay for it. That's not something that I do. But then it's constantly up to date with your calendar. It shows me, what appointments I have and what I'm doing. This is live data. You see here, we've got fresh finds, and you can go through and scroll. It's really pretty awesome. I set up this page. I customized it, obviously, but they have some nice stuff like out of the box. So Bookify, very cool. Bookafy. So those are a couple of my tips. I could go on and on and on, but I know there's other things that you guys do. So I'm going to kick it over to you. I'm going to stop talking for a couple minutes here and ask you, how do you work smart, not hard? What's a tip that we need to know? Looks like we've got some here. Command-Shift-4. Kara, I love that one. Especially if you hit the space bar once you've used it, then it'll go ahead and select that whole window automatically, which is nice. Yeah. You can go ahead and share your tips. Yes, I said automatically on purpose. All right, Kara. What about templates? Templates are great. While she's typing that out, I'll tell you one of the things that didn't make the cut. If you use Google Docs and you say, and hopefully I'm not stealing your thunder here, Kara, Google Docs has done a really good job of setting up some really neat PowerPoint templates, not just in terms of appearance, but in terms of content. So it's like, hey, if you're doing a proposal, go ahead and start with this section and then have this section. And they kind of give you a nice skeleton of content that's there. The Kara says, duplicate it, strip out the content. Yes, absolutely, yeah. And that works so well with Storyline. You spend so much time putting something together. It is really inefficient. It is really a waste of time to go through and do that. And then that is a wonderful, wonderful way to work. Right? We all have better things to do. even if it doesn't save that much time, even if it only saves you like 10 to 15% of the time, I still think it's worth it, because like my copying the link from window to save as, that's going to help you save the gas that's in your tank. If I'm going through and I have to read all these contents and I have to go through all the time, I'm going to run low on energy. My brain runs on sugar. So the more that I use that, making dumb little decisions, the more I don't have time for. So design smart, not hard. So we work smart, we design smart. We want our learners to go through, I'm going to vent here a little bit about a project I just did with a client, and I'd like to call him the over-explainer. So we come in and it's like, here we go, we're going to over-explain everything. And I'll tell you specifically what I mean. This was one where it was like, we need to have 10 seconds of audio, explain how to, what? We need to have 10 seconds of audio that explains to someone how to do a quiz. All right, I don't think you really need that the first time, but they insisted on having it on all 20 questions. Isn't that terrible? Like, I'm going to tell you how to complete the quiz and then hit the submit button for every single question. What happens? Like, if you were to sit down and, yes, how to resize your browser. If you were to sit down and devise a plan to get someone to tune you out, I don't know why you would do that, but if that was your goal, you would basically come up with a strategy like this. Like, I'm going to tell you a bunch of stuff. I'm going to bombard you with so much information that you can't filter it out. It just turns it from valuable explanation into noise. So let me ask you guys, what are things that you do to design smart, not hard? This one's a little bit tougher. Boring is bad, indeed. Go one step past default. Mike, is your mic working? You can talk, buddy. Maybe it is not. Re-add it, okay. I'll hop back over there and get you in just a sec. Oh, Mike Taylor, you cracked me up. All right. So live smart, not hard. And this is one that I particularly, yeah, Kara, wonderful. Focus on iterations. Have them triage information. What is most important? What is nice to know? What is pure ancillary? Yeah, I have a little prepared speech that I give all the time about diminishing returns. If you put 3 or 4 things in your class, and then you keep adding a 5th and a 6th and a 7th and an 8th, you're actually putting less in your class. That your learners are going to get less and less out of it the more that you put, the more you add into it. Be focused. That's a great thing. Most important. Nice to know, need to know. What is it that's critical? What are our goals here? That's why we do all that time up front, finding an analysis and getting things set up. I know, I've never been able to make my screen flicker like that, Mike. That is really cool. That's impressive, man. All right, so here's some life hacks. This is one that I saw the other day and I just thought was great. Use a pillowcase from a sheet set to keep the rest of the sheets in. You know, you've got your other case, you've got your flat sheet. I sent it to my wife and her response was awesome. She's like, what, you don't like spending 20 minutes looking for everything? And it's like, that's exactly what I'm talking about here. Like, work smart, not hard. Like, live smart, not hard. Like, get your stuff together and make it easy for you. Because you wash them all at the same time. You're going to fold them all at the same time. Just like stick them all together. So now when, you know, your aunt comes over and she wants to stay, great. I grabbed the blue one. These are the ones that you need. And then my favorite one, this is me kissing my tile. Does anybody use one of these little tile things? I'm very good at coming up with creative metaphors, and I'm very bad at knowing where my keys are. It's a little product. There's an app on your phone, and basically I can pull it up on my phone, and I have a tile on my keys, I have a tile on my wallet, and then I even have a tile on my TV remote control. So whenever I can't find one of them, I pick up my phone and I open the tile app, and then I click wallet, and it'll tell me if the wallet's in my room. They connect through Bluetooth. These are about $20. And oh my gosh, now that I have one, I would spend $150 for one of them. They're so valuable. If you're the type of person who can't find your keys or can't find them quickly, or you just lose stuff, it's really nice to know. So you push the button on it, and then it makes a bunch of noise, so we can walk around the house. And my kids all think it's a great game. Help Dad find his keys, and they run around and everything like that. So another thing that's nice is the little tile that I've got there. The button in the middle of it, if I double click on that, it actually makes my phone ring. It does a special little ring there. So if I can find either my wallet or my keys or my TV remote, if I can find any one of those, it'll help me find my phone. So it's one of those things that it's like, yeah, I could sit down and I could think through, now where was I the last time I saw my phone? Where was it? No, I just work smart, not hard. I double click that thing and I walk around the house until I find it beeping. All right. So those are a couple things. What are some life hacks that you have? What are some things that you do to live smart, not hard?
Good question.
We can hear you just fine. Welcome back.
An hour. All's well that ends well.
It took longer.
I wonder where I could get some training about how to use these crazy computers.
Right? If only.
Anybody? I gotta get down to Ohio State. I hear they have some good educators down there.
They must.
If they would just let me in, that's the challenge.
Mike, I see you share wonderful life hacks and word hacks and PowerPoint hacks and all those kinds of things all the time. Do you have any with here?
Gosh, I don't know. But my very favorite one I shared when we were doing shortcuts, the Windows screenshot thing. I use that like 10 or 20 times a day. It's just so useful. And I love Snagit, but a lot of times I don't really need anything fancy. So it's just so quick and easy that it's rare that I fire Snagit up anymore.
Really? Gosh, I use Snagit constantly. I use Snagit for emails. I use Snagit for all kinds of things. And that's a perfect example of just cognitive load. It's like, I'm not going to make you read 2 sentences about it. I'm just going to say step 1, step 2, and here's a picture. You're able to just get so much further down the road that you're going to use so much less gas just looking at a picture with a 1, 2, 3 than you are reading 3 sentences of it.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And so here's the thing. This is I don't know, more question than statement. Is most people who take screenshots are terrible at it. Like,
well, that's
you want to show us some little part of it. Like, why do you give me the whole thing? I don't know what I'm looking at. Right. Like stuff like that. Like, this screenshot's supposed to help, but sometimes it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been able to figure out why that is. It seems like such a straightforward task.
I can remember real clearly a day that I was in grad school and I just started learning about how to take screenshots, and there was something wrong. I don't remember if it was wrong with my laptop or my phone or what, but I was sitting at the Apple store and I was watching their little Genius Bar loop that they go through, and they've got the little video that just plays, and it's like a 5-minute video and it just keeps showing you the same thing. They do such a great job of just zooming in and focusing. It's like, want to do this? Here's one button. It like shows you the whole thing, and then it pans in, and the screens are like white with just a little bit. There's like nothing that you can do. So that's like a perfect example of the whole like cognitive load. How do you manage cognitive load? How do you make it easy on people? Well, you just show them one thing instead of the whole screen and say like, here's everything.
Right, and it's like you said, it's focused. The other thing that I like to do that's kind of along these lines, screenshots and video stuff, is I will use screenshots to fake a video.
Yeah.
So, right, especially if you're doing software and you have things that update all the time, maybe a menu updates. Well, I can put a sequence of screenshots, and then if I need to update it, you swap out a screenshot and you're not rendering and you're not recapturing, and it's just A, it's quick, and then B, it's even quicker if you have updates.
When you have updates, because what happens with every like new system rollout project, it's like, great, we're going to make a bunch of Camtasia videos, or we're going to make a bunch of storyline simulations where we go through and people get to practice it. Every project manager will say, we want the training done 2 weeks before the system is ready. And it's like, so I see why you want the training to be done before the system's ready. I'm not saying you're wrong there, but
well, part of the problem with
fake them and snag it all the time.
Yeah. Part of the problem with that is it never gets revisited, right? Like it never gets updated. It's like everything is static. You're like, okay, it's done. You put it in the drawer, your LMS, and you never go back. Right? Like I talked about this at the ATD annual event. I was like, how many times do you ever, circle back and see what updates are needed in courses? That so rarely ever happens. Like it's bad.
Yeah.
Like if you want to spend all the time and money to create a course, you should at least spend that fractional piece to make sure that it's still accurate.
Kara's saying, how many of you go to your LMS every day? Only when forced.
I said that at that event, right? People checking their LMS every day for new stuff.
Yeah, that's not happening. And that's kind of a shame, but anyway, that is a whole other thing. If you'd like help with this, I offer coaching packages, Mike. That made me laugh that you were asking for one beforehand. I will send you the link. But,
and I'm going to use your calendar to book time with you. So that's all coming full circle. It's perfect.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Anybody have any other tips or anything that they want to share? Do I sell gas cans? Gosh, I guess I could.
I was going to say, I bet he could for the right price.
Here. My wife's like, what are you doing today? What is it about your job that you're going to need gas? Yeah.
My wife says that every day. What are you doing?
Yeah. Maybe we'll come up with some, blender branded gas cans. We'll see where this goes. So I know that we have some questions that we've posted down here, but I really want to hear from Mike. I'm not going to be at DevLearn. I will be watching some of that take place on Twitter and longing for the experience of being out there. But Mike, why don't you give us a little rundown? What are you talking about at DevLearn?
Well, Bianca Bauman and I are going to be doing our steal from marketing spiel. So we're going to do a workshop on Tuesday, so a full day pre-conference workshop. So I'm excited about that. That should be a lot of fun. So that's Tuesday. Wednesday morning, I'm doing a breakfast bites session. So pretty, informal, laid back conversation in the morning about curation. Curation in the workplace in particular. Then Thursday morning, Bianca and I are doing a curation session. And then Thursday evening, I'm going to be doing Demo Fest. So it's going to be a nice full week.
So the curation one, I feel like we heard about. That's where you're, what resources are you sharing for that one?
Well, so we'll talk about Feedly. That's it's kind of the core thing. We'll talk about we've got a worksheet that we're going to work through in the session. So just kind of identifying, what are your goals? What are the people and information sources that are related to that goal, and then sort of walking through kind of like what we did a time or two ago here with, you know, setting up your personalized system for keeping up with everything. And then the other piece is, you know, who is your audience? You know, if you have an audience that you're trying to curate for, you know, identifying who that is, and then answering some of the questions of, you know, what do they care about? What do they want to know? What do they need to know? What are their pain points, and how can you share things that help them solve those?
What was that pre-conference session?
It is L&D strategies from the marketing playbook.
Yes, the billboards with the hamburgers, and how does a marketer
Yeah.
versus a learning person sell hamburgers?
And it's a bring your own laptop deal. So we're going to be working on a bunch of stuff. We're going to build a content strategy. We're going to build some learner personas. We're going to get into, you know, Canva, Adobe Spark. We're going to use the images that we make in Canva. We're going to take those and use them in a MailChimp campaigns. We're going to build some email campaigns, some autoresponders.
Nice.
And I'm really excited about it. It should be a lot of fun, I think. Would you like to have a sneak preview?
That's what we're here for.
Cool. Well, let me get my right screens here.
I'll go ahead and focus it for you.
All right. Have you got my Canva? Or did I share the wrong thing?
Nope. Looks good. It says Canva, and then you've got sort of a DevLearn Mark account.
Yeah. So one of the bazillion of things that you can build in Canva are email headers. So I just did a sample project that we can kind of walk through. So if people don't have their own, they can follow a sample that we did, and we chose just kind of a safety topic. So I made a few of these headers, just email headers to put in our MailChimp, right? So this is just one of the Canva templates. Mm-hmm. Save them out as graphics. And then over here in MailChimp, so here let me pop this open. You'll see there's the header that that I created in Canva. So I've got kind of a safety image up there at the top. And this is just kind of a welcome message. It's one in a series of emails.
I thought this was football-related tailgating. I'm honestly a little disappointed, but there's a strong lack of buffalo wings at this tailgate.
So tailgates, with the place I used to work, they used to have these tailgate safety meetings, and it's basically, you know, you show up, you know, on a job site or something, and topic, and they usually had them, you know, at the tailgate of their pickup truck. So they sort of got the name tailgate.
Yeah.
Tailgate meetings.
Makes sense.
If you want to see this, let me share this. I'll just share this link. If you want to see what the sequence is, just to see it kind of in action, drop this into the chat window. If you drop your email address in there, into that form, I think it's 3 or 4. As soon as you open the first one, the second one will come. They're just set up to be automatically delivered. That's the trigger. The trigger is once you open the first email, you get the second one, and you work your way through the series.
Do you have it set, your triggers set, so they do it based on links? They click a link, or does it just come every day from when you start?
This particular one, it comes, so the second one comes as soon as you open the first one.
Oh, okay.
So the trigger is actually opening the email.
Nice.
Just because when we're in the workshop, you know, I can't do them, you know, a day or a week or stuff. So I just want them to come so they can see how it works. And then we're going to, you know, people are going to build their own. So yeah, it looks like there's 4. Email 1 of 4 in this series.
That's a great sharing and getting content. It's so much more modern than just log onto your LMS and look for new things. It's like, oh, click this and to find out more. And then you can have it so that if they click a particular link, then it'll send this message or that message. I think these really are great for onboarding. It's like, hey, I'm going to give you a new tip every day for the first 100 days you're here. And you're going to get, did you know about this? Did you know about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Chimping ain't easy is what what my MailChimp course would be called.
That's another T-shirt, man. We're gonna go into the T-shirt business. I love it.
Yeah.
But so one of the things we'll talk about here is, so I did one that's sort of, hey, here's a policy update. You could actually do this in MailChimp and not really need an LMS, because you have the ability to look at reports and you can see who has, either I could use the reporting in here, or I could do a separate form. There's a bunch of different ways you could do it. But, I can link to documents or intranet sites, and then I can set up this button so that I'm acknowledging this policy and doing the record keeping in MailChimp and not my LMS.
Mm-hmm. Particularly if you set it up where the only way to get email 3 or email 4 or email 22 or whatever is that you have to go through that whole automation. Can you show your automation in MailChimp so people get an idea of how that works?
Sure. So you can see.
So those triggers there, you have different options. You can do it like based on if somebody clicks it, if somebody opens it. There's all sorts of different parameters that you can pick there. It's not super duper powerful, but it's powerful enough that you can say, hey, you've completed a whole email course and that you've at least received 12 emails. And then on the last one, you have an acknowledgement like that. I think it's especially small organizations that don't have $100,000 to waste on an LMS, to spend on an LMS. Something like that's a really good workaround.
We largely wasted. It's largely wasted. I mean, 98% of it is wasted.
Because nobody wants to go there for content. They're only forced by reminder emails that training's overdue.
Well, except Kara, who goes every day to look for something new.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited to see, the people in the workshop, what kind of ideas they have for this. Anytime you're teaching classes, a lot of times the people in the class have ideas you would never think of.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can put just about any kind of content in here, links to documents, or this one's got a video in it. And the nice thing is it handles all of the mobile friendly stuff. So you pick a template, you insert your text and headings and whatever you want in there, and it just takes care of it. So
thank you, Kara. Yeah, that's the thing is people talk about mobile learning and it's going to be this great big thing. Everybody can already do mobile learning through a phone, because if there's only one thing you do, the employers make it very easy for you to work after hours by checking your email constantly. Your training courses can be in there, and people are able to organize it. They have access to it. They can flip through it. They can find it quickly. There's a lot of advantages to, the initial response is like, I don't want more email in my life. And I get that. That makes total sense to me. But,
well, I've said this before, right? Like, I don't want unwanted email, but if it's something that I get value out of, I should be able to opt in or opt out. Mm-hmm. Or I don't want the emails that I can never get off of, because it's a pain. I'm just going to make a rule and send them to the trash can without reading them anyway.
Right.
So, if you make them good enough that people want them, people will opt into them and people will read them. So it's a mindset thing.
Yeah.
I think.
Absolutely. And again,
So
when it's like, I just need to look up something real quick, odds are you're going to have your phone and it's going to be close by and it's going to be easy enough to find because you practice looking for things in your email all the time. And if you're successful at your job, you probably have a good system for sorting and organizing and keeping all that. So it's wonderful.
if you're really good, you have a system that's not in your email.
Well, that's true too. But you do need to manage all that email stuff. The email is not the only single one, but yeah.
I'm continuously amazed at people, and I used to see this in big corporate world particularly. Oh, where that policy that it came out 10 years ago. Well, hold on a minute. I'm going to go into my email. I'm like, you have 10-year-old emails that
Yeah.
you're with mission critical information. Like, you need a better system. But it happens. A lot of people do it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then the other part of that is if you came the day after they sent that email, too bad, so sad you don't get it.
Right.
Right. Which is also maybe even worse.
Definitely worse. Well,
So yes, those are some things from the workshop from Demo Fest. I'll show you this bit. We did a course in this. It's a platform called EdApp. So if you go to edapp.com, edapp.com, you can mobile friendly and adaptive and all that kind of stuff. So this is sort of the authoring side. It's all browser based authoring. So this is a kind of an introduction screen. And then the cool thing is as I'm building, I can preview this for different devices kind of real time.
Oh, that's nice.
Right? So I've got iPhones, iPads, Galaxy S, whatever. And it's going to, as I'm authoring, show me that. Really, really sick. And this is free, a freemium kind of thing where you can get started without any cost. This is the course we're going to show here. So this is a video screen. It's just got a video that's embedded from Vimeo. So I can set all that stuff up, and I just drop the URL right in here. Then I can it's got a bunch of pre-built interactions. So again, this is all just browser-based stuff here, and I'm just stepping through. So here's a version of a true and false question, and it's kind of like Tinder true and false. You just drag left and right for true and for false.
Yeah.
Not that I would know how that works. I've just heard.
Right. I don't think this is what the kids are doing with the Tinder. True false questions.
Well, it's a form of true false, right?
A lot of false.
So, you can do these little pretty slick lessons. And it looks really nice. You can see how well it adapted between, tablets and desktop and mobile. It's just really slick.
That's advice I give people all the time. If you're developing something, if you're starting fresh with a new tool, be sure that it also it's responsive, that it's going to work on your iPads just like it's going to work on your phones. Because 3 years from now, look at smartphones really haven't been out all that long, and we are powerfully addicted to them because they're awesome. And there's so many great things about them. It just doesn't make sense to spend a ton of time on a platform that isn't going to be accessible on multiple devices. So
yeah.
Here. This is a good one to add to the list here. edapp.com. I put the link in the chat there.
So this is also, even if you don't, if this is not like the end-all ultimate solution, if you want to just get your hands on it and just start doing stuff and finding what questions you even need to think about, right? Like you can create these super quick, short micro learning is really hot, popular, whatever you want to call it. Like you can do it with this stuff. And
looks like there's some gamification in there as well too.
There is some, if you want to turn it on, so there's some prizing that you can do. There's some, let me see if I can find one. I don't know if this particular one has any of those in it or not. Let me see. The challenge that we have found is a lot of the clients that we've done this with so far don't want to spend money to do prizes.
Right.
Which I can't figure out. Like, why wouldn't you chip in a couple $100 to do some prizes to get people motivated? And right, like it could be a $10 Starbucks card or something.
You're having 1,000 people take a 30-minute class. That's 500 hours of work that people are spending on this. What is an extra $50 in gift cards to get out of that?
Well, because I think it's the gift cards are like hard money, and everybody's time that nobody accounts for that, right? It's an accounting issue.
Yes.
Right. We're gonna, like you said, 20,000 people for half an hour, whatever, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we're not going to chip in a couple hundred to, engage them a bit. That's crazy.
Different line item in the budget.
Yep.
But you look at like easy things that you could do. If I were a vendor and I said, hey, you could boost training effectiveness by 15% for $100, they're like, I'm all over that. And then I'd say, it's gift cards. So, yeah. Yeah, and then I don't think gift cards fix everything, but there are things like going back to what I was saying about the elephant. The elephant in the room likes to be able to win stuff. The elephant in the room wants 2 free lattes. That's like, don't ignore that, because that gets people interested and intrigued, and it's memorable, and it's all about returns. Work smart, not hard.
I'm continually amazed. Like, people will do the craziest stuff for some trinket, right? Like we're just wired that way. And I see
T-shirt cannon, woo!
Exactly.
So it's literally a T-shirt with a company's logo on it, and people are like getting in fights over who gets it, and it's not even from the cannon. It's not even the right.
It's not even their size. They just want to just to get the big thrill of victory.
Yes.
It's crazy. And then
I think it's the sound they make too. There's something really neat about that. But anyway.
I think it would be more fun to shoot them than to get what comes out of them.
I've got to add that to my bucket list now that I think about it. Fire a T-shirt cannon. Maybe that's all I ask for Christmas this year.
Yeah, right on.
Fire off some Blender shirts. All right. So, Mike, have you shared all of your wonderful things with us today?
I think that's today's payload.
I'm very excited to see what other goodness comes out of the DevLearn experience this year. I was happy to share mine, and I kind of feel like we can call it here at 1:51. Do you have anything that you want to add, or final thoughts that you'd like to help us wrap it up?
No, I wish you were going to be in Las Vegas this week with us. If anybody sees this and is going to be there, I hope you'll swing by and say
next
hi.
Year. Pick me. I got to make a few more YouTube videos and do a few more presentations and get out there and be part of it all. And hopefully this show and the people that watch it is a step at trying to get for that. There we go, Jim.
Nice.
All right. Nice.
There you go. This whole effort has been a success.
Yes.
You got somebody to pay for it.
All right. Well, on that, we will wrap up our Fresh Finds show. Mike, great job sticking with it and getting your camera and everything working today.
Well, what happened? I have to
go
tell
Lakers.
You,
yeah.
I have to say I'm so conflicted over LeBron being on the Lakers now. So I'm coming your direction.
I'm sure.
But it's all LeBron.
Yes.
But I got everything running and turned the camera on. There was a security thing, a piece of tape over the camera, which was why it was doing that weird stuff. So, and I'm just trying to peel it off. It's always a challenge.
go. And you overcame it.
We'll do better next time.
All right. With that, we'll see you back here again next month. Bye.